Let's continue our life. The chief of the tax authority said that the work commences from 8:30 in the morning until 2 p.m. and the rest of the organizations and institutions are going to work. Forget about the Muslim Brotherhood and about demonstrations of protests. We know that there is a minority here and minority there with some stones with a pistol, and everybody will be against them, and the security forces against them, and they will return defeated as rats. They trained us on that. It's a couple of days, and it will go for good. A very urgent statement from the Ministry of Interior released that they finished the searching of the area of Al-Fath Mosque after controlling, and there are numbers in the statement, 385 people were arrested. That's apart from the big masses that were there, the people who went home. Everybody who was not arrested went home. And it's not a surprise to you that three of were from Ireland were there with them. One Turkish person and a Syrian person, a representative from al-Nusra. And al-Nusra do not shoot bullets. They're like Hamas. They don't shoot at Israel. They shoot at us. But anyway, two machine guns were taken, and one half machine gun, 4 pistols, and a big amount of bullets, different caliber, other than the sniper who was above the minaret, and 56 of the Muslim Brotherhood caliber in different governorates. So the members of the organization and the movement were, a lot of them were arrested, although they keep on changing, and the rest is going to come from the leaders of the New Tartars. In the Egyptian Council for Churches released a statement minutes ago that they reject the foreign intervention in Egypt. These are the true Egyptians, regardless of the religion. They say that we reject foreign intervention in the Egyptian affairs, and we reject the Western misleading against the Egyptian people. It's a very large and long statement, but this is the sum of its content. And you'll find the same text with more strength released from the custodian of the two holy shrines. The idea is not Islam, the idea is not Christianity, it's a conspiracy against Egypt and its people and its history played the role of the small servant is played by the Tartar, the new Tartars, with the cooperation of this small semi-country, whatever it's called. I would like to welcome Mr. Bassem Adel, the former member of the parliament. And before anything, I would like to condole him for the death of his father. But when this when his country needs him, he's there for it. And before, congratulations on the website, the new website. I always see you as an optimistic person, even in the peak of the battle, and even the parliament surrounded by the Muslim Brotherhood, and you were combating with that smile on their face. And a lot of people get surprised when they hear you saying that you're optimistic. When the patient goes to a very clever doctor, he's smiling and optimistic and confident, saying, "Don't worry, you'll be fine." First, I'm happy to be here, and I'm a big fan of you and your show. It's an addition. If the politician was not optimistic and a dreamer and inspirational, then he'd better stay at home. he needs to be a dreamer. He needs to have a dream, and he needs to be inspirational for others, and he needs to believe that tomorrow is better. This is a politician in a simple definition. Another part is insight or reading of the future, and this is experience or expertise. In football, he was former football player, an important player in the contractors club. And sometimes, like people like Khatib or Tarawazi, they just don't move a lot for 10 minutes, and Barakat and Hassan Shahata, they just move for a goal. It's expertise, and if you're an expert, it gives you optimism, and experience, and gives you optimism and vision into the future, so you know what's going to happen, so you will be confident and optimistic. This is the idea of optimism. As for the idea of facing your enemy by smiling, I believe in what I do, and I have full faith in Egypt, and I have full faith in my loyalty to Egypt. This will enable you to face any battle with the Muslim Brotherhood, and I have big faith in the Egyptian people and the Egyptian army and the Egyptian will. And I have big faith in some of the people who are misled, big circles, a lot of people who are surrounding them. I'm sure that they will wake up and realize I'm not talking about the core of the Muslim Brotherhood. Some people who about the legitimacy and wasting my vote, and some people think that the Islam is under attack or in danger, and it's not. These circles will say we were deceived, and we're sorry for that. Yesterday they named it the flood of anger. It was not a flood, and there was no anger. The size of terrorism compared to the size of Egypt, yes, last night is nothing. We are able to defeat that. If that was not a great nation, everything that what happened last night could destroy some small construction, but not as a very strong country that has institutions with very strong and methodological government performance. We're not a country under construction. We're not 300 years like the United States of America. We're 7,000 years. Our army is one of the oldest. Our institutions are one of the oldest. So it's very difficult. So that strong and deeply rooted structure, the meaning. Mubarak fell. The council, the SCAF, ruled for a while. The schools went, the finance process, the agriculture is one, the industry is going, and everything is under. And then you have elections, and then the former one president is working, and his conspiracy is something in his head and his group's head, and then he gets ousted, and then the current management comes, and the people are working, and everybody's standing against. But then the flood of anger. Some people forget that the country is under operation. The operations are working. 2 or 3 days off because of the protests, but then the fourth day people are working. Of course, we don't have the strong push that we can do. We have millions. Egypt is a huge country, and I would like to add something to the huge, this expression, the new Tartars. I like that, and I wish you add to it, where are you, Jihad? And it reminds me of the traitor character, and he spat on him, and they said if you saw him in the war, kill him, like what they did with Al-Qaeda. And the man who's this man calling Gahad al-Haddad, where are you now? We can't see you. right now, the man who's calling other countries to. He reminded me of the man who's going in that movie and saying, "Where are you, Gihad?" And are you trying to call countries and enemies against Egypt? And he was born and raised outside Egypt, and he doesn't know. But we have somebody in our histories called King Farouk, and when they were was a revolution, he went outside and he had other routes. He had foreign routes. And Mubarak, with all our disagreement and with his our disagreement on his management and the dictatorship and everything, but at a certain point of time, he chose Egypt and he said, "Yes, I will give up the power," and he didn't keep on with the pig-headedness and the anger. And in 18 days, he gave up the power. So not every day they hold a machine gun and kill Egyptian people and terrorize Egyptian people and burn buildings and burn companies and explode the railway and shoot at the military intelligence in Matruh. The border protection forces are honorable people who protect the borders of the country. Are you going to attack those? What's the concept of that? This is your first line on your borders. Are you trying to open the nation for others? And when he said in Rab'a that the fleet, the U.S. fleet is moving towards our coast, and they said Allahu Akbar to that. So these are people who have no understanding of the nation, and don't talk to me about Islam or religion. This is unacceptable and ununderstandable. I cannot receive that from you. The sheikhs and the preachers that we trusted at a certain point of time gave us some concepts and lessons. They became slaves of authority and chairs and carry weapons against Muslims and brothers in the country, to carry a weapon against the Egyptians and kill them everywhere because of the chair, because of the authority. And have women inside the mosque for 48 hours and using women and using children. This is something of no honor. If you're a soldier, if you're a fighter, they had this person, the picture of a person pretending to be a dead person, and he moved his leg in front of the camera. This is a translation of what they were doing in Rab'a. Rab'a was very dangerous, because I want to talk about the chain of failure, because people think that the Muslim Brotherhood is causing irritation and disturbance. No, it's a failure every day. They were trying to close an area and say this is mine, and have a shura council and a meeting and build walls and have playgrounds and trying to celebrate the Eid. And they might have built a ceiling and said that the helicopter of John McCain can land in our land. This is our land. It's not. So they were trying to create a land against another land to expand and explode the other country. This is the picture of the dead person who's carrying his leg, who's moving his leg after he opened the T-shirt, and they found no wound, and he's trying to hide it. It's just shameful. And he wanted to remove his hand, and he moved his leg. So, and they wanted to have this ghetto, and they couldn't, and they wanted to start civil war, and they couldn't. They wanted to insert the Christians in the civil war process, and they couldn't. And the Pope have this very transcendent and refined speech, and the Sheikh of Azhar also had another speech, and every day they're losing part of the plan. So you have an enemy that is moving from a failure to a bigger failure. That's why I'm very optimistic from reading the situation. Why are we optimistic? Because of that. We're seeing our enemy losing every day. So they failed while in power, and now they failed after they left power by popular. Is it an addiction now, failure, or is it because they're used to being a secret organization? I think there are different aspects and reasons. The idea of secret organizations, a secret organization, I agree on, but I don't see that Muslim Brotherhood or the FJP practice politics. They're like a social group. They're like to get the girl married and get the boy circumcised and some social services, and they were able to gain some support and some affections of some people. It's like me giving you a ride, but to give them this post and they have no experience to that, and the evidence, you can say you're just narrating, but I can say he got the votes to reach something he cannot do. And when he reached the power and he had everything, you had a president who is half God. He has no councils around him, and he ruled, and with his government and with all the resources and the capabilities, and Washington and Turkey and Qatar and gas and billions sent and everything. You had everything. And the Ministry of Interior at a certain point of time, Muhammad Ibrahim was excluded, was taken outside the mosque by the police officers. I think the police corrected itself, and the military, a smooth change of the military leadership. There were a lot of indications and a lot of signs, and people let you and open for you. I'm talking about ruling with the factors. You have the intelligence and the police, and they say he was not enabled, he was fought. You told the supreme leader of the armed forces, who has been there for 20 years or 7 years chief of staff, and the people who ruled the country before him, and you told them goodbye. So you had the most resources and tools to succeed, if you had the ability to succeed. Let's take this call, Mr. Nader from Alexandria. I'm so happy with the great effort you're exerting at the channel, but I think the burden is over you. Is more intensified these days. There are other channels that try to mislead the people. A lot of people who go to the demonstrations thinking that they're defending the Islam and that the military and the police are using thugs. Yes, what I'm hoping is that you have a procedure to stop the other channels. I'm not going to say names or other stations. Thank you, Mr. Nader, but what I want to say, I personally, and forgive me, I'm against the idea of banning a certain channel, or although France, the capital of light, and stopped Al-Manar channel, Hezbollah channel from entering France, and they canceled it from its satellite. For me, let them be there and let them lie. We have a very strong media apparatus. Go watch this, go watch that, but we have to have some balance. We have Sharif from Alexandria. Everything is good in Alexandria. Mr. Sharif, good night. How are you doing tonight? I'm good, but I have an opinion on that. I think everything is going to pass by, and the army is going to control everything, and the police. But I have a national project for the country, but I don't know how to deliver my voice. You're here, you can use that. If I can meet with anybody, I'm a simple citizen. If you want to meet, if it has a lot of details, don't hang up, and the control will communicate with you. And let's go to Sharqiyya, the country, the home city of Engineer Basil. My greetings for Mr. Nasr al-Qaffas, and from the engineer who's honoring the channel here. And I'm happy with the expression, the new Tartars, and they destroyed Baghdad in the past, and they burnt the mosques and the libraries and the museums. This is what they did actually. Minya and Malawi's museums, Rabaa and Al Fath mosques were insulted, and hospitals, the blood bank. Egypt is the rock that the new Tartars are going to be dispersed. I'm calling them the Khawarij of the end of time. These are the Khawarij of the end of time. They wanted to destroy Islam, but Allah stood against them. That's their place is the prisons, not the presidency. I believe they're addicted to prisons and jails by now. Let's go to Sohag. We have Mr. Kareem. Could you mute the TV, please? I pray to God, peace be upon you. Let's take the volume of the TV down. I pray for God against these people. I'm crying over the young people and the police officers and the police personnel. My heart is with them. Amen. We go to Muhammad from Alexandria. Did you see the how she prays from the heart? Muhammad from Alexandria, peace be upon you. I would like to greet Mr. Basil Muhammad Adil. I'm a personal friend of his, if he remembers you. He's asking which Muhammad. I'm greeting you, but I wanted to know who you are. From Nusa Street, welcome. It's as long as it's my zone. So a company there, so it's not an advertisement. I don't want to mention the name of the company. I would like to talk about the Muslim Brotherhood, and I'm calling for all the satellite channels, the respectable ones, the respectable media, which we carry on our heads because it's assisted us for the revolution. Let's not call for the reconciliation or the negotiation with the Muslim Brotherhood that they could be back to stop the bloodshed. This is a terrorist group, and they know nothing but blood. All our army and police and youth were killed on their hands. And I'm asking, is that the group that wanted to run the country? Which Islamic religion that talks like this? Everybody's saying Mubarak and his people are coming back. If they were coming back, and if we remember the time of the presidential elections and the second phase between Shafiq and Morsi, and the difference was very small to show how people were respectable. The declaration of the results was delayed, and everybody said, the big picture was, everybody said that Ahmed Shafiq won. And in the end, we get surprised that Mohammed Morsi is the one who won. The 12 million point something who voted for Shafiq did what Al-Ikhwan is doing today. They said we're going to burn Egypt. Thank you, your message is clear. I'm not going to add anything to what he said. Not even King Farouk did what the Brotherhood did. Welcome, Mr. Basil. I wanted to mention several points. I'm not from the Brotherhood or anything. I voted for Ahmed Shafiq in the past elections. But for the future, we need to think of the young people through the Azhar and everything. They need to start having meetings with them, because the people who follow them and So you need to activate the role of Azhar to have sessions and conferences. I'm talking about the future. I'm thinking of the future. We need to stop talking about them. So so you're talking about construction. Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sharif. I think it's disconnected. Ms. Dalal from Al Muqattam, Cairo. Peace be upon you. Mr. Qaffas, I had a small intervention on Al Jazeera channel. We're watching all the channels all day long. Right now, they're showing something that is 100% wrong. I'm happy that you know that it's wrong. I compared, this morning I watched the journalist Shaima saying that there is water and everything is working properly, and we're just shooting and 2 people died and no forces. And right now they're showing it on Al Jazeera, the contradiction, the opposite thing. Her brother is calling and he said, my sister was kidnapped and she was beaten and we were insulted and we were beaten. Minutes ago I showed a footage of a dead guy moving his leg. So it's not a surprise. And they opened this fire extinguisher and they called and said that they're tear gas. And this is a channel that I actually canceled it. I can't live with people who lie all the time. There is this, some people compare it to jobbles or gobbles. I'm going now, Mr. Osama from Giza. I run an orphanage in Al Giza, and I was surprised today. I get my news, the news from the Muslim Brotherhood, or the Brotherhood that is not Muslim at all. And I was surprised to find that the young people, the children, telling me these are bad people and they are killing people in the street. Why are they killing the people in the street? Imagine children, and most of them have mental retardation and other handicaps. Thank you, Mr. Osama. I think this scene, some people are pretend that when there is lying media that it's going to affect people, people will see the truth with their eyes, with their hearts. You'll find a lot of people watching the other channels. You'll find 70,000 people, 100,000 people, 200,000 people, 1 million. Egypt is 85 million if they will see the truth. Mr. Ahmed from Ismailia. I have a comment and a question. The comment is, we have Dr. Hazan Biblawi today in Egypt, and we have Dr. Mustafa Haggazi, Ahmed Musallamani. We have we have deputy ministers. We have Dr. Durriya Sharafuddin. We have we need to be optimistic. We have a lot of competencies, national competencies. You watch Dr. Mustafa Haggazi today in an international press conference, and you're proud to be Egyptian, more than marvelous. And even the preparation of the conference and the decoration and everything was different. The question that I would like you to discuss with Mr. Adel, we have a problem in the Ministry of Interior securing the Upper Egypt area. What we saw in Minya, Sohag, and Beni Suef is a danger. It's obvious that the forces are not up to the level of facing the armed Islamic groups. The burnout of churches and the attack, and we find the lack of security. I agree with you that there is shortage. in securing, and there was a plan from the ministry during the time of the previous president, and Assam Larian tore the plan out in front of his face, and he said, "What are you trying to do?" So there was shortage because the police was beaten on the 25th of January by the Brotherhood, and I add to you the 5 billion pounds that they were demanded as resources. I go to General Zahir from Cairo. I have a good comment, a simple comment for Mr. Adel. I was watching the colleague Wael Abrashi, and I was surprised that a chief of investigative police that were guests of the show, I imagined that they caught Saad Amara, and I caught that they arrested the brother of Safat Higazi. Unfortunately, they did not. They will be arrested. But I'm talking about they were successful. And the chief of investigation police said, we realize that, we're aware of that, but the general situation for us was this and that. The things they export as for the entering the mosque. I think this is very dangerous. So they had a calling for prayers at 2 and at 3 and at 5. So they were successful, just like the success of the people on stage in Rabah. So you're saying that they were successful in escaping? Yes. So you don't want them to succeed in anything? That's not the idea. The idea is that simply this is something I felt that the police officer from the investigative police, I heard an announcement of an assistant of the Minister of Interior is saying that the main purpose is not to commit a massacre. I would like to thank you, Major Zahir. Let them succeed in something. So when they escape, let's say that they succeeded with one thing. Now let's talk to Dalal from Faisal. Mr. Qaffas, yes, these brotherhood need to be hanged in the street. Could you take the volume down or mute it, the TV? I respect you a lot. Thank you very much. The brotherhood, since then, they're ruling the country and we hate them. What do you want to say now? They need to be tried in a public square, so they're a lesson for everybody. Thank you, Dalal. And I go to Dr. Safa from Alexandria. Good morning. I live next to Biblioteca Alexandrina, and what I say is totally contradicting is what's repeated. First, I'm an academic. I don't know anything except achievements. I like to achieve things. What you're saying about the Muslim Brotherhood, I'm thankful for it. When in my street there was shooting, I cannot talk about reconciliation. Another thing, I'll give you a surprise. For the first time in my life, I thank the thugs and the people who we call the poor people or the grassroots who have weapons, who carry swords. These people came to protect us from the Muslim Brotherhood. The surprise is that 5 of them died. I don't know their names, and I'm very sad, and I hope you can pray for their souls. They were defending innocent people. They went out to defend us, and they went on Wednesday and on Thursday and yesterday to protect us. What I want to say is not wasting our time with the brotherhood, the youth of the brotherhood. We need to build our country. So instead of having our energy burnt in communicating with these people, we need to go for the poor areas and the slums and the grassroots and assist them and embrace these people and train them, embrace them socially and improve them and use them, and the society would benefit from them. Thank you, Dr. Safa, very much. And I'll need to stop here because it seems to be a message for you. I think Dr. Safa's message is for you as a politician. Nobody talked about reconciliation whatsoever, and we said that this organization is a terrorist organization. It has failed, and there is the direction to categorize it as a terrorist group in the Egyptian law as well as the international classifications. I think the Brotherhood is over, and any party where their parties carried weapons, not just the FJP, if it's a Salafi or any other parties that has extensions or roots in Sinai or carrying weapons, they need to be dismantled right away and immediately. That's my opinion, and I think it's the opinion of a lot of politicians in Egypt. I think it's the majority of Egypt, the people themselves. Mr. Nasr, when I hear the interventions of people, the people are more passionate and hotter than the politicians. They say that we're aggressive and we're against the Brotherhood, everything they say against it, and we are the reason to fail them. But listen to the people talking. The people are totally against them. Somebody's saying about hanged in the streets and the woman praying against them from Sohag, and she's saying that this word that comes from the heart of the Upper Egyptians. And when she says that, you know that this group has failed. As for the grassroots who were defending areas, fragile areas or cultural areas or elite or with like higher classes or something, you need to have statues of these people. I don't like to call them thugs, and she said that they call thugs, the ones that are called thugs. These are not thugs, and if everybody's not well dressed and he doesn't look good, that's the fault of the government and of the state. So before working on describing him as less, I need to accuse myself, how did I allow that? So would that be fair, that to say that we're going to have a revolution of the hungry people? If you can describe those people as hungry people, they're going to defend and protect the rich ones and the well-off ones. This is the best place. She lives next to the best place in Alexandria, Bibliotheca Alexandrina, and they paid 5 martyrs. This is great. I would like to put my voice next to the Major Zaid, but the surprise of the escape of some of the leaders of the Brotherhood. Everybody in the nation wants these people to be caught, and there is no categorization other than that. So I put my voice to his, that how these terrorist groups went out or escaped. As the securing the police stations issue, it was beneficial and useful. Everybody saw the peaceful protesters that the EU and the United States and France are talking about. They're calling for the human rights, and they saw the RPGs and the machine guns attacking the police stations. It's not about the language, English or Indian. there is an intelligence mechanism that pushed the rejection in the newspapers to reject to see the real picture. So it's not about the media is not seeing and we need to talk to them in English, but there is a strong rejection of the intelligence mechanism and apparatus from the West is to support the Muslim Brotherhood. But it was beneficial, but the support of the armed forces need to be there for the police. Egyptian police, they recovered in a very short period. They have transformed a lot of people from the police, and I said after the 25th of January, they're not all angels, and they need to apologize for any violation against the rights of the Egyptian people, and they need not to return to the oppressive practices. We agree on that, but with who? With the honest citizen, with the free citizen, with the youth, the Egyptian youth, but somebody who carried weapon? No, they do whatever they want to him. The Kurdessa police station specifically, I would like to provide my condolences for everybody, for all those who died. Martyrs, call them, or deaths, or murdered ones. But I would like to mention Major Amir Abdel Masoud. He was killed in Kurdessa. That was a star in Tersana club. He's a sportsman. And the biggest characteristic of his is that he's a very religious and a very spiritual person. He was killed with RPG in Kurdessa. And another person in Ismailia who's also a sports person. We have Captain Hisham Saleh, the spokesperson of the police officer club. We would like to deliver our condolences to you and to us, actually, in the police officers, the martyrs from the police officers. I would like to provide my condolences for the Egyptian people with my colleagues who worked with me hand in hand, and I would like to say that a number of the people who, the martyrs of the past couple of days, I went to stand with them to the funerals of police officers on over the 32 past months. 290 or 300. This is since the 25th of January 2011. Since the 25th of January 2011, and every time we go to a funeral, we go in a group, and the next funeral, one of us, it's the funeral of one of us, and we're decreasing in number. We swore after the massacre of Kurdessa and with the heroic action of my colleagues and 62 or 63 martyrs in few days after the evacuation. So I am calling for a memorial in Rabaa Square, because this number has not taken place since the massacre of Ismailia in 52. We have our colleague, Mr. Tariq Ismail, the editor-in-chief of Al-Ahram in Alexandria. He suggested also the 14th of August to be the day of the police. I think that would be the simplest thing to dignify these people. And I was talking to Major Akram Abdel Masoud, the brother of martyr Amir Abdel Masoud, and he said it on air, live. He said, I swear to God that we will not stop until we return the rights of the Egyptian people from the traitors who spill our blood throughout the years, and we will be in the streets, and we're not going back. We are in war against terrorism, and every day somebody die of us, we can cry for him, but his picture is in front of us when we're in the street, and the picture of his mother and their children who became orphans every day. I have engineer Basel Adel, who is deputy of the Minister of Youth and Sports. He wants to talk to you. I would like to deliver our pride over the message you're conveying, and we're all behind your back, and we appreciate how the Ministry of Interior was used one day against the people, and now they're erasing all what has been done, and your blood is very precious to us, and everybody who died from the Ministry of Interior are brothers to us. And what you're doing is not going to be forgotten, and we will carry all the people on our shoulders and on our heads. We were on their side on the 30th of June, and we will always be there. Through you, the Azbekiyya police officers were going to suffer the same thing, but the courage of everybody who were there in the police station, and having the security director, after they ran out of ammunition, they said, we're going to die inside the police station, we're not leaving until the support came as fast as possible. A disaster would have happened. They were surrounded for 6 hours. What I want to say for the people, we are not going to rest until the country is safe and secure and stable. We're keeping our promise from the smallest rank to the biggest rank until we finish this terrorism who killed our colleagues in the 90s. And I'm telling my colleagues everywhere, go on, we're all together. When one goes down of us, we'll continue, and we will not forget their blood, and we will not forget the tears of their families. Captain, the first day of police was on the 25th of January. That was the day of resisting the Egyptian, the British occupation of Egypt. So we're suggesting another resistance against an occupation, the 14th of August. I don't know, since the 30th of June, and the police is in a celebration. If we had malpractices and mistakes, they were a result of other things, but we said enough. And in our meeting, in the police officers, the first meeting, where they chanted against the regime, that was an indication, an indicator saying that the police is changing, and they don't wish to be a tool in the hands of any ruler, and they're saying that the people saw us with grudge in the past, and now people saw us and feel secured. I think this is enough. Thank God. Captain Hisham Saleh, the media spokesperson for the police club, I believe that this is really honest. I believe the police and the army, and we have judiciary, and we have Azhar, and we have media, and we have a church, and I think we have a lot of assets. Egypt is a country of institutions, and we have a historical opportunity to regain the role of all these institutions and be capable of recovering and restructuring. And the captain is saying something really good. After people saw us and get scared, and now people greet us, and we didn't expect that to happen in 10 years or something. We thought it's going to take a lot of place, and this is the place of the police officer. He needs to be the source of security, and he's a source of fear for any thug and outlaw. I would like to stress on that. We're all together, and Egypt is not going to forget the martyrs, and their blood revives a country. This blood refreshes the big nation. before we conclude, what do you want to say? I'm saying that good morning, and this is a morning of optimism. Oh, yes, we are in a crisis because Egypt is a big country and it's targeted. Egypt is a huge country with all the benefits. It's a country with all the privileges. It's the heart of the Arab nation. It's the heart of the Middle East. And with the size of the nation and the size of a country is the same size of its hardships. We're getting rid of a tumor that has been there for 85 years in the country, and it's used by everybody to harm the community. As the United States helped create Al-Qaeda, the British occupation in the past helped create the Muslim Brotherhood. And I wish good morning for the Egyptian people, and I believe that it's always darkest before dawn. Egypt is going into brightful days, and we're going to see the country, the Egypt we dreamed of. Good morning for Egypt. Good morning for Egypt that sings. They didn't know anything about singing. Good morning for Egypt with theaters lightning. Good morning for Egypt with cinemas. When they wanted to imitate, they had the worst movie. And good morning to Egypt of Suez Canal that they wanted to sell. Good morning for Egypt of the museums that they burned in Minya. Good morning for Egypt of the hospitals and the farmers and the laborers. Good morning for Egypt and everybody who's secure. Good morning for Egypt with the police who had a conspiracy against them. Good morning for Egypt with a great army, with the leadership of a great citizen we all pride on having. Is one of their major enemies because they are the enemies of life. Good morning for the lovers of life. Good morning for those who unite in the times of crises. Good morning for the hope. We are the country that presented a lot of people to die. We are the nation that face people with their chests. We don't run away from the police. You know who is the new Tartar and why are they returning. Be optimistic and be happy. Goodbye.